What up, race fans? Welcome to the show. For the 8th year in a row, we find ourselves nestled in the Alps, beautiful Innsbruck, Austria. This time around, celebrating stop 3 of 4 on this 2024 Crankworx World Tour. I'm your host, Cam McCall, alongside Alan Cook. On the heels of a fantastic show last night in speed and style, we are about ready to dive into day 2 of broadcast competition today. It's all about specialized dual slalom. We got big name riders out there and a new course.
Yeah, big name riders out there. We got a lot of points up for grabs. You know, we see the usual suspects at the top of qualifying. It's going to be some exciting racing tonight, Ken.
For sure. For those of you who didn't join us last night for speed and style, let's take a look back at how the action shook out. It was tight competition between a lot of our front runners in our king and queen overall standings.
Yeah, absolutely. We see right here Ryan Gilchrist and Bernd Winkler, our number 1 and number 7 qualifier. Gilchrist really relying on that speed, having an unbelievable race, but not enough to withstand the trick list that Bernd Winkler pulled out. Some huge triple and quadruple combos, able to take the win out here in his hometown.
Well, great performance out there from Bernd Winkler grabbing the win. You'll see second place Ryan Gilchrist out here today again, but the collision course between Jordy Scott and Martha Gill, 1 and 2 in the queen overall standings, 1 and 2 in qualifying. They found themselves in the gold medal matchup together last night. Yeah,
that was a good one, as my old pit boss used to say, rubbing is racing. Yeah, but nothing intentional there at the end. They came together, but yeah, unbelievable close racing between these two riders on the tricks and the speed. It was like not even a blink of an eye between these two riders that separated it, and they're in the queen hunt, so it made sense.
For sure, the tight racing and speed style between Martha Gill and Jordy Scott is symbolic of the tight race between the two of them in the queen standings. It is amazing. Right now, we have a great opportunity to throw a headset onto Martha Gill and ask her what this is like. Martha, I'll tell you what, this has been really fun watching you being involved in this Queen of Crankworx battle. Take me back a couple seasons ago, coming from enduro. Did you ever think you'd find yourself in this multi-discipline challenge?
Not really, to be honest. Yeah, when I was racing enduro, I gave a few dual slaloms and a few different Crankworx events a go. And then just slowly started doing more and more. And then, like, I think 2 years ago, I decided I'd commit to racing the full season, and suddenly here we are.
Martha, that's awesome. I remember when you were coming to those enduros and when you made that switch. I got to ask this question. How does your off-season change with making that change to this discipline? I mean, you know, enduro being so fitness-focused, you know, I know there's a lot of sprinting, a lot of weight training. What's your off-season like now that you've been, you know, fully focused on this Crankworx?
I still try and be pretty fit, to be honest, and a bit of stuff in the gym, but I think just a lot more time riding different bikes. Like throughout the week, I'm constantly switching from like downhill to slalom bike to practicing flat corners or practicing jumps to riding pump tracks. So there's just a lot more variety in the training, which I really enjoy. That definitely keeps me more motivated than when I was training for enduro.
Yeah, more bikes is always better, right?
Yeah.
So as the season builds, you have all these different bikes to be practicing on, all these different disciplines to be occupying your brain activity. What's the pressure like as we get toward the end of the season?
I'm trying to not put the pressure on myself too much for here, because I know there's not like downhill here, so it's kind of uneven. Like, I'm prepared for the overall standings to change, but they will probably change again throughout Whistler. Like, Whistler's going to be such a huge week, and there's going to be 3 downhills there, so it's kind of hard to look at the overall until it's done, really, because there's so much to play for.
I can only imagine. Well, this points battle has been so fun to follow. You're coming into this slalom race with an 8-point lead. Best of luck out there.
Thank you.
I love the fact that, you know, she seems super motivated to have the variety in the training, and she references how many races there still are yet to go. You know, we feel like we're at the end of the season, but we're at stop 3 of 4, and she mentions how many downhill races there will be in Whistler. It's so far from over, isn't it?
Yeah, it's up to anybody's game, as you said a little bit earlier. Yeah, 8 points separate him. That's nothing. That's one position in any of these events that we have coming up. Looking here at the Queen standings, Martha Gill, our number 1 qualifier in today's qualifying, actually. Who else you see on there?
I mean, Shania Rawson, she has been absolutely killing it in slalom. Yesterday she was 3rd in speed and style. She got 4th in Rotorua to start this year, so made it into that bronze medal matchup. She's 84 points back. She's also in the competition out here today, so don't count her out. You know, 84 points is still well within reach. If you think about how much points are delivered for first, second, and third, you got 100 points for first, 80 points for second, and you figure that 80 points is exactly what she needs right now. It obviously depends who finishes higher than you, but that magic number I'm looking at right there, 8th, 25 points. If you make it into the round of 8, not only do you appear on our broadcast here, but you're securing at least those 25 points. It is so key to make it through the round of 32, through the round of 16, and into the big show, which we're about ready to launch here at the round of 8.
Yeah, the big show definitely offers up the most points, and these riders are going to be out here trying to get the most that they can get out of each position. We're going to see these riders take to the course 2 times each. It's going to be an average of those 2. Head-to-head racing is always the most exciting. I love it. There's no question. There's no judging. There's no opinion. It is what the clock says it is.
Yeah, for sure. We've got the riders lining the course right now, making their way to the top, and taking a look at this bottom section, Alan. Yesterday, as soon as we finished the speed and style, that digger was out there, machine operator Clemens Condella in that excavator. He was finishing this course until dark last night.
Yeah, he was. Sea-Dog out there, a magic man in the machine, able to turn this slalom course into a really competitive track. There's actually a couple of uphills in this race, so being able to lay the pedals down, being able to put that power down, the riders that are more used to clips, I think that's going to be a little bit of an advantage today with those hills on the course.
It's a great dual slalom course. Dual slalom, just the format in general, is just such a classic mountain bike discipline. And we talk about the top pros. We just had Tohoto Ariki Penne on screen right there. He's the reigning king of Crankworx. He's also sitting second in the points at this moment. But a thing we don't talk about very much is there's amateur categories as well who are shoulder to shoulder with some of these top riders in the world. Just a great opportunity to see some of the up and coming talent that may be in the shoes of guys like Tohoto and riders like Jordy and Martha in the future.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that word opportunity stands out. Like, there's so many things that Crankworx offers to the mountain bike enthusiast. You can come out here, you can actually mingle with your heroes. You can sign up and ride and compete on some of the same courses. You know, if you have any inkling of a future, you just want to get out and have a good time on your bike, you know, this is the place to set that foundation. There's so many different things that Crankworx offers.
The amateur riders out here have it made. The fans have it made as well. Of course, there's so many different disciplines. We had speed and style and whip-off already. We got slalom now. Still yet to come tomorrow, of course, is slope style and pump track. If you're not here at the venue, thanks for joining us here on the Red Bull Bike YouTube channel. Make sure you follow Crankworx Instagram account, the Crankworx Innsbruck Instagram account, to stay up to date with all the action, and make sure you join the conversation as well. We're following the chat here on the Red Bull Bike YouTube channel on this Dual Slalom live stream. And one of these entertaining chat texts, keep them entertaining because we're scanning through. If you make us chuckle, we might send you this shirt right here. We're going to be picking a winner for this piece of Crankworx Innsbruck 2024 merchandise that you can only get either here on site or by winning it in our competition today. So keep it entertaining. We've got some of the top riders who have signed this thing, and we got Jackson Frew, Tohoto, Thomas Slavic, Martha Gill, Jordy Scott, a lot of the riders we've been talking about already, the riders who are going to be standing on that podium today have signed that shirt. And, you know, we've got some front runners out there who've qualified high. Let's take a look back to the slalom finals for the women's category at the last stop in Cairns, Australia. It was that woman right there, Jordy Scott, next to Cassie Voicey in this gold medal matchup.
Yeah, super close racing again here. You know, there was a couple of, one of the sides had a little bit of an advantage, so Jordy coming into that second round and having to lay it all on the line. Cassie doing everything she could do, getting that advantage going into run 2, and it all came down to this final run for Jordy.
Jordy's good under pressure. Obviously, we talk about this a lot, the fact that she was absent from tour for a whole season after a big injury. We weren't sure if we were going to see her come back, but when she did come back, she was stronger than ever.
Yeah, she definitely sort of did a reset after that injury, really refocused herself, and has been, you know, obviously training and preparing for these events. And as the season's been building, she's been getting better.
If you're a rider like Jordy Scott, juggling the schedule of all these different disciplines is challenging. You know who else has had a challenge juggling schedule? Thomas Slavic. He was racing 4-cross last night in Val di Sole, Italy at the World Cup. It did not finish until midnight. He found his way here in time to do this race early enough to be involved in our GoPro course preview. Let's jump on board right now and check out this course.
Hey, I'm Georgia Astle. I'm here with Thomas Slavic, and we're here at Crankworx Innsbruck for the specialized dual slalom. Let's do a course preview.
Let's go for it. Okay, good to go.
Yeah.
Have fun.
You ready?
Yep.
Riders ready, watch the gate.
So right out of the gate we got little gap and 3 flat corners, really tight ones. We're coming to the rollers, same track as for speed and style, 2 more berms, and we're going to a really soft section. This is a new one, and these last flat corners are really tricky. Why? Well, I think this is gonna be really tight racing.
Oh, it's a bit soft.
Yeah, a bit soft.
Nice.
But good to have a new track.
Well, course is looking great, and if you're wondering who we should be looking out for today, I mean, we have a lot of data to effectively make our picks here. Easiest way to decide who we think has a good chance is to take a look at the Queen and King overall standings. And, you know, some of the riders who have won the Queen of Crankworx title in the past, there's only 4 of them total. Annika Bearden won it in 2015, and then we have Jill Kintner with 3 in a row, Via Verbeek with 2 in a row, and then Caroline Buchanan, who's focusing her energies on slopestyle this year. She's not competing for that Queen title, leaving the door open for a new Queen. The big question is, who is it going to be? Well, 2 of our front runners are, you know, qualifying really high for today's slalom competition. Martha Gill and Jordy Scott, we're going to be keeping our eyes on them. How about for the men, Alan?
Yeah, the men we see here, it's been a little bit more diverse, but only 1 repeat we've seen. But, you know, Tohoto, he's still in the hunt, so there is a possibility there right now. He's doing everything he can to get all those points, you know. If there's any doubt or question about Tohoto's focus on what Crankworx means to him, there's a World Cup here, and that is his usual focus, is those World Cup downhills in Val di Sole this weekend. He chose to be here to get those points because the King means that much to him.
Well, Tohoto, the reigning King, is sitting 2nd in the points right now. But the man who is sitting 1st in the points is the 2nd place qualifier, Ryan Gilchrist. He was 2nd place last night. This is going to be an insane show. Do not go away. This is the Specialized Dual Slalom Innsbruck, and it starts right now.
Crankworx is... it's a crazy thing to be involved in.
It's hectic, but you're in it and you're just like loving it.
A reunion of friends and people in different cultures.
All these cool different locations, all these different tracks.
There's always so much stuff going on.
People are just stoked on biking, and they're just stoked to be here.
Hearing so much energy around.
Yeah, we live for that.
Unreal.
Please make sure that your seatbelt is fastened.
Let's do this. Specialized Dual Slalom Innsbruck. We got the big enthusiastic crowd as per tradition here in beautiful Innsbruck, Austria. And the stage is set for the women and the men. We have chiseled the field down to the fastest and most qualified 8 contenders for each category here. And of course, first heat we're going to see for the women will contain that #1 qualifier and the current leader in the Queen of Crankworx overall standings, Martha Gill.
Yeah, Martha Gill out here doing exactly what she needed to do, qualifying first. She does have to not override these early heats. She's going to be going against the #9 qualifier there, Lang Louis. That's a guess on my part. I'm sorry if I just murdered your last name. And then we have Shania Rawson, who's obviously one of the biggest contenders, and Jordy Scott there in 3rd. And I like seeing Jordy Scott in 3rd. That actually gives me more confidence in her performance today, that she's not overriding. She is planning to build on the day, and she's shooting for that #1 spot.
I agree with you. I believe when we actually place our bets today, I feel like I'm looking pretty good. We'll touch on that a little bit earlier. But take a look here in the gate. Martha Gill loaded up. We caught up with her earlier.
Head racing, probably my strongest event too, so that always helps enjoy it. But yeah, I just love how fast paced it is, and it's all the way to the finish line, full on, full gas, and it's really fun.
It is fast paced, and once we drop the gate on this first heat in our broadcast here, We will continue to just ramp things up and chop the field in half every step of the way. A lot of pressure on your shoulders when not only you're leading the Queen of Crankworx overall, but you have that #1 next to your name, symbolizing your #1 qualifying position. So let's see if Martha Gill can make it into the gold medal matchup. We saw her do it last night.
Yeah, Martha getting that gate out, but Susie is right there behind her. Oh, Susie slides out just a little bit. Loses the momentum there going up over the hump. So Martha is able to extend that lead. She just needs to stay smooth right now and get through these earlier rounds. No mistakes, no battles.
Martha Gill doing exactly what we would expect Martha Gill to do, crossing that finish line first with that maximum differential to her advantage there of 1.5. If you're new to dual slalom racing, where have you been? That's okay, we'll fill you in. You got 2 courses side by side. You take 2 runs. Each rider takes a run on each course. The fastest combined time advances into the next round. The maximum differential is 1.5 seconds, meaning that if you miss a gate, you fall over, you cross the finish line 20 seconds later. The most you're gonna have to make up is 1.5 seconds, as we're looking back at some of the mistakes there that led to that 1.5 max differential.
Yeah, we saw Susie just at a fraction of a millimeter outside of the rut. There's actually a little bit of a clean lane there. It's only about a tire width. On the outside of that, it's marbles, and when she got back on the power, she was in the marbles, and just like in a race car, she spun out.
We got the chat blowing up right here. Thanks for joining the conversation, everybody. We got SimWiz08 saying it would be a dream for Red Bull to at least say my name. Dennis, I'll say it. Hey, Dennis. Thanks for joining us, Dennis. All right. We got Steinthaler and Churches on course.
Yeah, Lena right there, our #4 qualifier, getting the whole shot. But Hannah able to put the power down in the first section and pull out a lead here. Lena pushing against that deficit of 0.3. Not quite able to make that happen.
Steinthaler crossing the line first by about 1/4 of a second, putting advantage on Churches. We've seen Luana plenty over the past of the couple seasons. Good to see her in our big show here today.
Yeah, super close matchup right there.
All right, things are heating up right here. This is kind of a callback to the gold medal matchup from our last stop in Australia. Jordy Scott, shoulder to shoulder with Cassie Voicey.
Yeah, you never want to go against your #1 competitor this early, but Jordy Scott laying down right now, getting that reaction time out of the gate on Cassie Voicey, but this is where Cassie is really strong in these turns and being able to pump these transitions. Let's see if Jordy can keep this lead through these very technical flat turns. A little drive back on the horsepower and ends up with a 0.285 advantage.
So Jordy holding strong here, and you know, I won the bet last night, and so I always feel bad because we look at qualifying results and I cheat. I just take the first qualifier every time. And so you bought the beers yesterday. But today we decided to place our bets before we looked at qualifying results. I picked Jordy. Who did you have?
I don't even remember who I picked. No, actually, I picked Martha, our #1 qualifier today. So, you know, I think I'm sitting in a pretty good spot.
Yeah, and that's okay too, because you didn't look at the qualifying results, so there's no cheating.
We didn't even know. But yeah, going back through there, we saw Jordy definitely in the zone, doing everything you need to do in those corners, letting her eyes lead her shoulders and then lead her hips. That's how you have to do it. You have to slow down the race for yourself by looking ahead just that little bit.
Jordy Scott has the advantage going into their second run. We'll get them back up to the top of the course to do it all over again and decide who's going to advance into the semifinals, AKA the round of 4. But right now, we have Lena Scherling and Shania Rawson. Shania Rawson, the #2 qualifier, definitely been consistent this season. She picked up a bronze in the last stop in Australia. She made it to the bronze medal matchup to start the season in Rotorua. Let's see what she can do tonight.
Shania looking solid, gets that advantage out of the gate. Lena staying on the pedals up and over, but Shania just on the power. It's nice we have those split times there on the course. We can kind of see the progress, how the gaps are extending or closing. Some of these riders have a little bit stronger section, or maybe even a stronger side. That's one of the unique things is they'll get to go back up to the top and do it again head-to-head, but switch courses. And like I was saying before, it's that average of those 2 runs that really tells the tale.
Well, there we have it, a look at the results there from run 1 of our quarterfinals, round of 8. You see that green L next to the rider's name that signifies they're leading coming into run 2 of these brackets. Martha Gill with the advantage, maximum of 1.5. Down there at the bottom, the collision course, Martha Gill and Shania Rawson are on the number 1 and 2 qualifiers, both putting a 1.5 on their competitor. Then we have Steinthaler with the advantage and Jordy Scott with just over a quarter second of an advantage in her bracket. So our front runners doing exactly what we'd expect them to do.
Yeah, they're definitely locked in and staying focused and definitely able to do what they need to do and start building with those wins, keeping their competitors to their side, staying ahead of them, keeping their heads in the game. That's what they got to do at this point.
Somebody who's really good at keeping their head in the game grabbed a silver medal last night in speed and style. That's Ryan Gilchrist. He's the number 2 qualifier today as we prepare to see our men's field. And that's who I chose earlier today before looking at those quality results. So that's my guy. You bought the beers last night. I'm going to try to make you have to buy him again tonight.
Yeah, that was a solid choice. I wouldn't even call him an underdog, but his route to getting here, Slavic, and seeing him here, just his enthusiasm for riding and racing at the stage in his career that he's at, to drive late in the night, sleep in his car in the parking lot, and be here and be a top qualifier, I think that's who we might see win this.
Well, a long road to get into the round of 16 for any of these riders, and to make it through that to the round of 8 is easier said than done. Let's take a look back at who did it.
Yeah, looking at Jackson Frew right there, he's definitely having to lay down the horsepower. He's not laying up at all. Michael Williams keeping him very honest right there across the finish line.
We got to talk about Tohoto when it comes to dual slalom. Always a contender. He's also sitting second place right now in the King standings. He's the reigning king of Crankworx from last season.
Yeah, Tohoto, one of the most precise riders out here today. His downhill knowledge and skills definitely play into the way that he rides these courses. Just absolutely perfect.
And this is my guy tonight. It's really tough to vote against him in any discipline that has a clock. I did that last night, but I lucked out because Bernd Winkler's tricks were so on lock. But this is my guy here for the slalom gold today. I watched him manual every single roller in that midsection of the course. The bike skill is on another level with this human.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say that Ryan Gilchrist is on fire. I think that's what you would put that under that category.
Well, there we go. Take a look at that top bracket. Compare that to your bottom bracket. Your number 1 qualifier, Jackson Frew. Your number 2 qualifier, Ryan Gilchrist, are on that collision course. Will they meet up in the gold medal matchup? Only time will tell. Another big name on there, Tommy Zula and Niels Bensink. That'll be a heater. And Noel Niederberger and Tuhoto Ariki Penny. Doing it from the 22 qualifying spots. So impressive. He actually got kind of lucky in the round of 16. He went up against Eddie Reynolds. Eddie Reynolds had a big crash, and he was actually behind in that run 2 of that 16 matchup against Eddie Reynolds. So finding one in the street, and that could be all the difference when it comes to the King leaderboard there. Tohoto currently sitting in second place. But now, heat number 1 of this round of 8 for the men. We got Jackson Frew loaded up in the gate against John Simek. And here's what Jackson's running for his tires. He's got Minions front and rear, 35 PSI front and rear here. Seems to know how to set up a bike based on what we've seen so far in dual slalom this season.
Yeah, for those of you techies out there and see 35 PSI, the reason for that is he's playing the balance between how much pressure he can put into the tires on the corners. He's got to keep the tires on the rims first and foremost, but then also rolling resistance and traction. He's definitely playing with that balance running that 35 PSI.
I was gonna say, that seems pretty high.
Yeah, it's quite high, and that's for that rolling resistance. Because going over these rollers, the way that they're generating speed is they're pushing down with their legs and their arms on the backsides and going over that roller and generating momentum. And the more PSI, the more you get.
Well, that tells me is he's got confidence in his cornering ability to pump those tires up and get the advantage of that rolling resistance decrease. Here we go, Jackson Frew and John Simek.
Yeah, Jackson Frew getting the whole shot and talking about traction. He was doing a burnout as if he was on a 450 coming out of a turn, laying down the power.
Jeez. Well, there's a reason there's that number next to his name, that number 1 qualifier, Jackson Frew. 1.5's John Simek. Both of these riders with a long day yesterday of competition in speed and style. We had Frew on the podium with a bronze. He was actually against Simek just, I mean, it feels like just a few hours ago in that bronze medal matchup in the speed and style between these two riders.
Yeah, and we're looking at that first turn here, what I was talking about. You see that horsepower getting laid down as he's steering with the rear tire as if he has the throttle, because he's laying the power down through those cranks, just absolutely roosting out of the turn.
Yeah, that slow-mo moment right there of Jackson drifting front tire up, wall pedaling, sliding the back tire. That is mountain biking right there.
Yeah, that feels so good when you have those moments, and that's just confidence in his pocket to bring through the rounds.
Well, it's good to see John Simek has his bike working again. He had a mechanical in the final run of the night yesterday in the bronze medal matchup. Had to just have somebody run down to grab him. His hardtail did the final lap on a different bike. Here we go, Niels Bensink and Tommy Zula on course.
Yeah, cool to see Tommy Zula back out here in that round of 16, but right now he's on his heels with Niels Bensink, our 5th place qualifier, just ahead, coming around these technical turns. And the track really starts to come around in these later heats. You see the ruts starting to form in those flat turns, which adds a level of complication because you might see some riders low side or high side or get out of that rut, but that also definitely offers you the opportunity to go in much, much faster.
There we go. Look at that guy right there, Tuhoto Ariki Penny. Issues all day. Lower qualification result than we'd expect to see from the dual slalom specialist and reigning king of Crankworx, but he has somehow found his way into this round of 8. He's going up against number 3 qualifier. This is gonna be a tight one here. He's gonna have to better the combined time here of Noel Niederberger. Let's see if Tuhoto can do it in the clutch.
Yeah, this could be a final right here, no doubt. This rider's having to lay it down early in the rounds here in the round of 16. And the start's so important. Tuhoto with a slight edge. Able to pedal around every single one of those flat turns. But it's Niederberger that starts to pull a lead here going up and over the hill. Tuhoto starting to bring some of that back right now. A little bit late on that turn, back on the horsepower. Advantage by 0.228 goes to Noel Niederberger.
Well, that's a small differential there, very well within the capabilities of Tuhoto. He's gonna have to make up that 0.228. Let's see if you can pick out any mistakes here from Tuhoto.
Yeah, nothing really stands out to me. He did start to pull up alongside right here. And then when we get into these super technical flat turns, the exit of these flat turns are so important. Yeah, right there you see him just hesitate a little bit and get a little late. And he was playing catch up at that point.
I would say we have a couple pretty evenly matched courses here today. Sometimes, as an example, you know, in Cairns, Australia, the dual slalom course there, one course is noticeably faster than the others, but these two seem to be quite balanced. Doesn't really make a difference because each rider has to ride each course anyways, but it's kind of fun when they're tight. So here we go. Your number 2 qualifier loaded up in the gate right now. Right side of your screen, Ryan Gilchrist is going up against the American Cody Johnson. Way to go there for Cody. We haven't seen him very much on the World Tour this year. He qualified 10th.
Yeah, 10th place qualifier out here against this field is no easy task. Getting hung up a little bit on that gate right there, but Cody keeping Gilchrist really honest. Man, Gilchrist is just so fast through those berms up top. Able to maintain. That is one of the things about slalom that is so interesting. It's like a game of yin and yang. There's so much intensity that you need to have in order to get down as fast as you possibly can, but you have to be patient. You can't override, because if you're late on one turn, you're gonna be even later on the next one. Right here, we see Cody's front tire sliding into the marbles, able to correct, but he's so far inside, his pedal gets hung up right there on the gate, and that gave Gilchrist just a slight advantage, and once Gilchrist smells blood, it's hard to come back from that. Yeah, you're right. It's such a chain reaction that snowballs. If you come in
less than ideal in one of those gates. Well, you're thinking about that mistake for another few gates. So look at the brackets here. Jackson Frew with the advantage over Simek as they go head-to-head again. Deja vu from last night. He puts a 1.5 on him. And then Cody Johnson doing a great job staying close to the back tire there of Ryan Gilchrist. Only 0.35 separating those two. Bensink over Zula and Niederberger over Penny, but definitely within grasp there. Under a quarter of a second for Penny. Penny seems like he's been fighting from behind all day, hasn't he?
Yeah, a little bit. You know, I can't really pinpoint it. I can't say he's off at all, but he's not exactly as competitive as we have seen out of him. But he is hungry, and I think now's his chance to really bite.
For sure, this King battle is really coming down to three. You know, it's Gilly, it's Tohoto, it's Frew, and it's always so interesting to see the paths these riders take to become a King contender. Let's take a look at the path of Jackson Frew.
I'm from Canberra in Australia. Yeah, kind of ride bikes. It's pretty much me. I grew up racing downhill and BMX, so really fortunate to have some really fast guys to chase. And then now spend a lot of time in BC as well with my girlfriend, so a lot of epic riding and racing there as well, so we're pretty spoiled. I'm a bit of a freak for speed, so I like anything that kind of goes fast. Me and my old man have got a couple of old cars and stuff we like messing around with and racing. Don't really know what downtime is. It's kind of just on time for something else. Yeah, the dog is kind of the only time that I really mellow out, and he's a bit of a psycho as well, so. Pretty much every year since 2013 I've done a Crankworx, I think. The first time I turned up, we kind of walk into the boneyard and look at the slope course and go, what is this? Is stupid. And then I think that might have been the year that Stevie won all three, and I remember sitting there thinking, like, this is just insane. Like, the level of this sport is just crazy, let alone just Crankworx events. Oh, 22, I think I won slalom in Rotorua. That would have been my first, I think that was my first podium, yeah. That was really cool, because I'd really grown to love slalom that year. Got to Rotorua and I just finally put a day together where everything went right. Yeah, just got in. That was pretty cool. That was really awesome. It was actually the Thursday, the week before Cairns, I couldn't close my hand up.
We're talking about that hand injury for Jackson Frew.
It's a bit wild. Just had a pile burn. We've just been cleaning up over the last like 18 months and stuff. Just had this big burn pile. And yeah, we're not quite sure what happened, but a couple seconds after we lit it, it blew up. And so I obviously was still quite close and still had my hand out. So I got all down the side of my face. There's like a little divot where my watch face stopped it going further up my arm. At first they said it was going to be a skin graft on my hand and it was going to be probably 12 months. Once I put a glove on, I couldn't take it off. I'd managed to get enough movement in it that I could close a fist, and at that point it was like, well, everything's booked, we'll go and we'll try.
Behind Seth Stiley, Jackson Frew on the fast course. Can he do it? Pushing through the pain.
Yeah, blew myself away. It was really cool. I'd spent sort of 2.5 weeks basically sitting on the couch doing nothing. So, second in Rotorua was good, third in Cairns was sweet. So there's only one more step to keep going to. So.
Are you looking for that top spot, or like are you just focused on
winning?
Consistency?
Oh, winning, yeah. Don't come here to get second or third 3 times in a row. No, definitely winning. I'm a super competitive person. That's why I keep coming back to these things. So yeah, definitely here to win. The aim is to win everything, but yeah, we just swing for the fence and whatever happens, happens.
I love it. A third, a second, and you hear it right there. Only one more place to go. He's the #1 qualifier. He's got his sights set on one thing and one thing only.
Yeah, he's got his priorities straight. Man, kudos to him. What a tough guy. That performance in Cairns with that hand and the blood, man, just like a gladiator.
For sure. I mean, when we saw the blood leaking through that bright yellow glove, we'd heard rumors of a burned hand, but we didn't know how severe it was. And if we didn't already have an incredible, immense amount of respect for the man Jackson Frew, well, we got even more right now. As we take a look at where we stand so far in our women's round of 8, we got Martha Gill with a 1.5 advantage over Susie Langlois. And then Shania Rawson down there at the bottom doing the same, putting a 1.5 on Shania Rawson. We're getting them loaded into the gate right now, preparing for run 2 of these quarterfinal matchups for the women.
We see Steinthaler there, the number 5 qualifier, against the number 4 qualifier, looking to be the heartbreaker in that case.
And there we have them loaded into the gate. Great gesture of sportsmanship there. The knuckles before the gate drops. Martha Gill in one of those scenarios where you talk about this a lot in gated head-to-head competition. When you're the number 1 qualifier, that comes with baggage. When you have a 1.5 advantage over your competitor, that also comes with some baggage, and you got to know how to handle that situation.
Yeah, you definitely do. And Martha definitely does know what to do here. You're not going to see her completely lay up, but she's not going to push it. She doesn't need to make any mistakes. She just needs to get down the hill, kind of learn the track, see how the track's developing. This is like a good opportunity for her to see, you know, where those ruts are starting to develop and where she can push in some of these later rounds.
So Martha Gill keeping it smooth right now, leaning on that healthy advantage of the max differential, 1.5 seconds. She cleanly crosses that finish line. She will advance into the round of 4.
So looking back at the start here, which is a UCI BMX World Cup starting cadence, so it's a random start. The riders don't actually know exactly when it's going to start. There's a 3-second window when the gate will drop, so the timing is different every single time, but Martha's showing what she needs to do right there, that front wheel chasing the gate all the way to the dirt.
Well, that's kind of fun. On the bottom left of your screen there, we just saw, we are keeping track of who has the fastest hole shot. It looked like Luana Churches with the fastest hole shot. That's our nice slang phrase for who's getting out of that gate the fastest. Martha Gill advances now, as you see, the official word there. She moves into the round of 4. The big question is, who will she meet up against? Will it be Stein, Thaler, or the fastest starter of the day, Luana Churches?
This is that one where Hannah Steinthaler has the opportunity to be the spoiler, but right there, Lena getting the hole shot by about 1 or 0.2. Super close racing all the way up and over the hill. Hannah trying to be that spoiler. She's got a little bit of an advantage, but she goes a little bit wide on that second turn.
Ooh, it's gonna be close. Oh, it does not look like it's gonna be enough. Here we go, Steinthaler does it. She'll meet up with Martha Gill there in that round of 4.
So now she's punching above her weight level right now. The spoiler moving on. Yeah, that's where that little bit of mistake right there from Hannah happened, and she was able to make a good recovery up and over. It looked like her timing just was a little off on those rollers and was pushing when she needed to be pulling, but did make a recovery and kept the gap tight enough to make that 0.2 advantage that she had just enough to advance on.
We got Littlefoot 56 in the chat right now saying Martha's been doing really good this year. Yes, very true. She's leading the Queen standings. Another way of saying that is she's doing really good. Oh, you're welcome, Dennis. Dennis says y'all made my dream. Thanks. You're welcome, SimWiz08. All right, so loaded into the gate now. Jordy Scott with the 0.28 advantage going up against Cassie Voisey. She's running even higher pressure than we saw from Jackson Frew. Take a look, a high roller up front and Ardent in the back, both with 40 PSI.
Yeah, 40 PSI, she's really looking for that rolling resistance, but I do like that high roller front tire choice. That side knob on that tire, there's a little bit of a gap, but if you commit, that will hold you.
Confidence right there. You're pumping your tire up for slalom to 40. That's confidence. Here we go, Jordy Scott and Cassie Voisey. Deja vu from the last stop in Australia.
Well, talking about confidence, you see Jordy Scott coming around that first turn. Rear tire fully sliding, feet on the pedals, back on the power before she even gets straight. She's looking really good out there. A little bit wide, but has enough of an advantage to carry it across.
There we go, Jordy Scott does it. Secures her slot in the round of 4.
You know in that saying, when you look good, you feel good? Well, this looks good, and you can tell that Jordy Scott feels good. Look at that slide. Straight back on the pedals around this turn like nothing happened.
Wow. Cassie, I mean, almost missed that gate. She rode right over the top of it.
Jordy just powering through those next gates, timing her foot off of that pole perfectly, looking really confident here.
A lot of consistency here out of Jordy Scott all season. Advances through another bracket, something we're getting pretty acquainted to seeing, and we're also seeing her clock the 2 fastest times of the day. No big surprise that the second fastest rider today in the women's category is Martha Gill. Just more of the same here. Martha Gill and Jordy Scott battling it out on that collision course here between the number 1 and 2 qualifiers. Will they meet in the gold medal matchup? Who's going to go up against Jordy Scott here in the semifinals? Shania Rawson, Lena Scherling.
Shania Rawson with that 1.5 advantage. So Lena's going to have to pull something out right here. The start's going to have to be absolutely perfect because Shania Rawson is also a rocket ship out of the gate. As expected right there, Shania Rawson with that hole shot. So Lena's going to have to do it on track, on the pedals. Shania Rawson just looking unbelievably strong. Building her day right now exactly the way she needs to. Keeping it calm, keeping it smooth, all the way across the line.
Shania Rawson doing what she needed to do. Cleanly advancing into that next semifinal matchup where she'll find herself in the gate against Jordy Scott. But take a look back at how clean her starts are, Alan.
Yeah, looking at that hole shot, one of the ways you can tell if it's a good start is if the front tire is following the gate down as it's dropping. That means the reaction time was perfect and you're chasing the gate down rather than the gate hits the ground and then you go.
So there we have it. Our semifinals are set. The matchups, it's going to be first qualifier against 5th, third against 2nd. That matchup between Jordy Scott and Shania Rawson could be a final any given day of the week. And then Martha Gill going up against Steinthaler. It's heating up out here.
Yeah, that number 3 and number 2 qualifier is going to be quite the matchup there. And now looking at the men, as we're making our way into the quarterfinals.
Frew with the 1.5 over Simek. Tight matchup down there between Gilchrist and Cody Johnson. Only 0.35 to play with there. So we mentioned earlier, one of the best parts about a Crankworx festival is the fact that we don't just have the pros competing out here. There's a full day of racing for all the amateur categories as well. Just shoulder to shoulder, hiking up this course, getting their reps in. And I'm sure we're going to see some of them on the World Tour as pros at some point.
Yeah, I mean, this is the 10th year we've done this tour, so we're starting to see the riders that were in these amateur categories coming back as pros and as strong competitors in those categories.
Yeah, we have amateur category for a lot of the downhill races, for the slalom, and for the pump track as well. Big action tomorrow at 2 broadcast day. We have pump track to finish it up, but we're going to kick off the morning with an exciting burst of energy, aren't we?
Oh yeah, absolutely. We got slope style, and man, if what happened in Cairns is any telltale of what's going to happen here, I'm on the edge of my seat already.
No amateur category for slopestyle. That was not quite yet.
Not quite yet, but also talking about slopestyle, the women, man, did they show up in Cairns? The battle with going down to the wire as Alma being in the lead and then having to get past and come back, and seeing the elevation in the women's slopestyle and just out here watching them practice, just blown away at how comfortable they are immediately on these courses. And it's proof you give the platform and they will perform.
For sure. Tomorrow's going to be a great one. I mean, this course is just, in a nutshell, bigger features than the first 2 stops. So, we're going to see some bigger tricks, and we're going to see, I think the women are really going to pull out all the stops. We've seen some big moves attempted in practice. So make sure you join us all day tomorrow. It's going to be full of action. But right now, it's all about Specialized Dual Slalom Innsbruck, and we have our next heat loaded into the gate for the men. Jackson Frew, we just learned all about him. He's on the right side of your screen right now. He's going up against John Simek. Jackson Frew has the full 1.5 advantage here coming into this second run.
Yeah, Jackson, one of the best starters in the game here in slalom. He talked a little bit about how he got really into slalom, and that is the key sometimes, that mental edge when you are excited about something. And man, he is an exciting powerhouse out here, getting that whole shot over Simek, making his way through these turns. Each one of these obstacles, if you play your games right, is an opportunity to gain momentum even without pedaling. Over the rollers, around the turns, these riders are gaining momentum with technique and skill and power.
So Frew, the first rider to punch his ticket into the round of 4. I swear I could watch Jackson Frew ride in slow motion all day. Let's do it again.
Yeah, we're gonna look at where his eyes are. So he's not quite in this turn yet with his body, but his eyes are already on the next turn. And that's how you slow down the race. The faster you get, you need to look a little bit further ahead of you so you have more time to react on the things that are coming at you. It's one of those skills that you can't necessarily teach. You can only learn it through out there and riding.
Look where you're going, not where you are. Whatever is happening where you are, it's too late to do anything about. And Jackson Frew really is a great demonstration of that strategy, something you always try to keep in the back of your mind when you're, even if it's just a casual trail ride out with your friends, just keep those eyes up. Jackson Frew into the semifinal. No big surprises there as he's been hanging out with that number 1 next to his name all day from that number 1 qualification performance. And now we got Niels Bensink, the number 5 qualifier, who has an advantage of 0.63 over the American Tommy Zula.
Yeah, Niels Bensink, the former pump track world champion, out here showing what he's got in the slalom. He's got the whole shot right now, but Tommy Zula is on the horsepower, trying to make up that 0.6 disadvantage. Whoa, something happened there on the same course there for a second.
I thought so.
I think Zula went off course and it became a train there.
We're doing a little 2-cross.
I thought my eyes crossed. I thought it was my fault.
I know, I was like, what is happening right now? Like Bensink was thinking the same thing. What's going on here? Here we go, there we go.
Oh, he just had his eyes on the prize, but it was not his prize.
Yeah, you know, Zula comes from that BMX background where you are on the same course, and he's like, you know what, I'm bored. Let's get over here and mix it up. Synchronized. It's a good thing.
I wonder, does he know yet? Like, the gates changed colors and then he pulled off. He got it, yeah.
He might as well just keep turning and end up on the speed and style course.
Almost took me out. Sorry, dude. It's like that turn just like, it's getting loose and it just shot me. Well, blew that.
Hear Tommy say that turn's getting worse, so he basically just came out of that corner facing the wrong way. Yep. That could have been timed worse, for sure.
Yeah, that could have, a split second later, and that would have been bad, yeah.
Bensink will go up against Jackson Frew in the round of 4. Now, Tohoto Enrique Penne with a little bit of work to do. He's got 0.22 to make up behind Noel Niederberger.
0.22, definitely something that Enrique Penne can make up. A little bit of a swerve out of the gate, but he did get the whole shot by 0.18, so he's over halfway there already. Coming in and out of these turns, super aggressive on the pedals, up and over the hill. It's gonna be Looks close. Like Niederberger's pulling up alongside. It's all gonna come down to these final turns. He needs enough.
He gets 0.4, he's got it. Tohoto, man, he has been coming from behind all day. That number 22 qualifier advances to the round of 4. These are the moments right here that make a king, you know? A hard-fought 2023 season found him the man on top, and look at this. He is going for it again here, defending that crown in 2024.
And that's the momentum that we keep talking about. That is going to be something that Tohoto can carry in. That was a huge feat right there to make that comeback after qualifying 22nd, but now he has that momentum. All those other heats are in his past. He's looking forward, and he has got that momentum right there with the second fastest time of the day.
This is what you say all the time when it comes to these head-to-head race formats is you want your fastest run of the day to be the last run as well, right? Is Tohoto doing that right now?
He absolutely is. He figured out wherever he needed to elevate his game, and he's doing all the right things. Some of the differences between these riders is a pedal choice. We see riders in clips, but you see Cody Johnson there just rocking the old school Vans, the flat pedals. Two different techniques out of there. Where that's going to be the biggest disadvantage, the flat pedals, is right here out of the gate, because you can only push, you can't pull.
Speaking of disadvantages, Cody Johnson has 0.35 to make up. We just saw Tohoto Ariki Penny make up a 0.228. Can Cody and his flat pedals be any match for just the mastery of Ryan Gilchrist on this dual slalom course?
Where those flat pedals can be an advantage is in these turns. You can go in just a little bit more committed, knowing you can get out whenever you want. And you see there Gilchrist using those clip pedals to his advantage and getting the whole shot, extending his lead, just wheeling. That's a power wheelie right there. When you're pedaling and wheeling at the same time, we see Cody Johnson just pushing a little too hard right there and going outside the course and missing a gate. So one of the keys to keeping traction in these flat turns is making sure you get to your side knobs as quick as you can. And the way that you counterweight those side knobs is by putting pressure down on the pedals. And that will load up those side knobs. And there's nobody better than Ryan Gilchrist at that. Watch him pedal into these flat turns right here. His body position on top of the bike, weighting those side knobs, keeping traction, looking ahead. He's already in the next turn while he's pedaling out of the last one, leaning that body and pushing it across the line. That's how you do it, people.
You know what that means. I mean, Ryan Gilchrist just advanced into the round of 4. He's going to be going up against Tohoto.
Thanks, bud.
We're going to have 1 and 2 in the King standings
buddy.
in the gate together. Gilly there with the fastest time of the day. Those times are so tight. Those 3 fastest times are our 3 front runners in the King standings right now. Just insane consistency out of those 3 riders. We've got all 3 of them in the top 4. Penny and Gilchrist, heat number 2. Heat number 1 is going to consist of Jackson Frew and Niels Bensink. We've whittled it down, and we're sure to be putting on an entertaining show here on this beautiful specialized dual slalom Innsbruck course. Redesigned course. I'm loving the flag placement of this course. We're seeing a lot of missed gates in the round of 32, the round of 16, and I think that's what you want to see. That's how you know you got a good dual slalom course. It is challenging these riders.
Yeah, the undulation of the track is really what makes it unique for me. It has actually 2 climbs in it. When do you ever see a climb in a dual slalom? These riders are going so fast and laying down so much horsepower, you almost can't tell, but that is it's a differentiator that we don't usually have. So we're seeing some faster riders move up that we didn't usually see.
Absolutely. And just talking about this course, it's a big undertaking to show up to this venue that is so iconic over the past 8 years, and redesign these courses, butter them up, and kind of keep them at the standard of all the iconic moments we think back to. Yesterday, we saw the course builder Clemens Caudella finishing the slalom course right after the speed and style finish. He's been working so hard. He's done a great job. Let's learn some more about the course builder Clemens Caudella. This guy is about as good as it gets when it comes to judging speed for gigantic features.
3, 2, 1.
I'm Clemens Caudella. I'm from Austria. I'm a professional mountain bike rider and track builder. Over the years I've been riding in many different countries, which are crazy experiences. But anytime I come back home to Austria, first thing obviously I do is eating a schnitzel for lunch. That has to be done. So what I think makes Tyrol quite special in terms of mountain biking is that they have the city of Innsbruck, which is like a young and trendy city, and the whole vibe is, I think, quite unique in Austria there, because everybody's enthusiastic about sports and especially mountain biking. I feel like that is also the vibe that people bring here. They come from, from Germany, from Italy, Switzerland. Everything is kind of like close by. You can literally find anything here. There's like local dirt jumping. They have like an indoor sport with a huge skate park. Whenever you hang out with your friend, it's like, oh yeah, let's go hit some street skate spots, So previous years at Crankworx Innsbruck, I was participating at the whip-offs. And this year, I got the job to do the whole track rebuild and make sure that all the tracks run nicely. This was a challenging one because we had rain every single day. Thanks to my awesome crew, we could somehow pull it off. And we are actually now at the second day of training. And finally, the sun's out, and I think we can get lots of riding in. So I think that Crankworx really has kick-started mountain biking in this specific area here in Tyrol. So with this being the last edition of the Crankworx here in Innsbruck, I'll definitely miss the scenery. I mean, you can turn around, it's just beautiful. And it's also very cool to see that lots of locals are involved in the track building, in the maintenance, in anything that has to do with the event. I think the local community can take the euphoria and the energy of it, and I think they will actually build more trails, more tracks, and just grow the community overall.
Pretty easy to be a fan of Clemens Caudella, whether he's throwing his leg over a bike or hopping into the seat of an excavator. He's tough to beat, that guy, and he's done a great job of redesigning and buffing up all these courses we have here at this iconic Crankworx Innsbruck venue. And we're about ready to make some more history here. We've got the round of 4 set for the women and the men in our specialized dual slalom Innsbruck. Martha Gill against Steinthaler, Jordy Scott against Rawson, and then there were 4.
Yeah, not only working her way through the brackets, but also working her way up the list of fastest times of the day. Jordy Scott, she is building a perfect day so far, so we're gonna get to see if she can keep that momentum going into the gold medal round.
So the first heat we will see is loading up in the gate right now. Steinthaler and Gill. As we take a peek at our mountains right here, a little bit of clouds at the peak of those. We have shuffled our schedule a bit. Specialized dual slalom was supposed to be tomorrow, but we have swapped days, leaving the forecasted better weather for the slopestyle tomorrow. We'll see how that pans out. Conditions pretty good here on site right now. Low wind and no rain so far in this dual slalom final. If you think about these two riders alongside each other right now, both no stranger to the top step of the podium in slalom here on the Crankworx World Tour.
Martha Gill right there getting a strong hole shot, about a 0.2 of an advantage, and that's momentum that gets carried all the way through this course. She just needs to stay smooth, keep in front of Hannah, really learn this course, find those areas she can push and where she needs to check up. That's going to be the key to her race today.
So Martha takes the advantage here in run number 1, just under a half a second.
How was it? It's getting weird. Yeah. Wild.
Right back up to the top right now, where Shania Rawson and Jordy Scott are loaded up. Expect this one to be a tight one. The number 2 and 3 qualifiers. A lot on the line here for the queen of Crankworx standings.
Yeah, both riders heavy in the conversation for queen. They're not going to want to give either rider any points. And Jordy getting the hole shot right there. Shania Rawson losing her rhythm just a little bit up there at top. Jordy able to pull out a slight lead there. Jordy, I'm noticing, is pedaling through those rollers instead of just pumping them. So she's using every bit of her skill to gain momentum from top to bottom.
Those pedals paying off there. Jordy Scott crossing the finish line, 0.8 ahead of Shania Rawson, giving herself the advantage.
We're going to get a replay right here. And really taking advantage of the opportunities you can to create momentum. Knowing when to start pedaling. Look at that, right on the backside and on the top of those gates. The timing that it takes to be able to do that right there and hit those gates and be able to be as far inside as you can possibly be and not get caught up is something that it's hard to describe how hard that is to do.
So, Jordy Scott not only taking the advantage in that heat, but also posting fastest time of the day there, 19.196, as we do what we expect here in dual slalom is just slowly get faster and faster as the day progresses.
Yeah, Jordy just ticking off one of each as she goes through her brackets in that top 5 standings. She now has 3 of the top 5 fastest times.
Over to the men now. A look at those brackets for our semifinals, aka round of 4. Number 1 and 2 still in the game. No big surprises there. Frew and Gilchrist. Bensink there going up against Frew, but have a look at this. The ever persistent Tuhoto Ariki Penny, number 22 qualifier, finding his way into the semifinals through hard work and focusing on what is within his power. It's going to be fun to see that heat too, but right now it's all about heat number 1, Jackson Frew and Niels Bensink.
Yeah, both of these riders, winners of these categories. Looks like they actually tied out of the gate. That's the first tie that we've seen. Both green out of the gate. Jackson Frew gaining over a bike length on Niels right here. It's going to have a .769 advantage going into the next round.
Helmet on the fucking first flag.
He's leaning over so far, he's dragging helmet.
Ooh, man, I am excited about this one. Number 1 and 2 in the King standings. 84 points separating them in that race, but look at this, about 10 inches separating them right now in the gate of this heat. This is going to be great here. Tuhoto Ariki Penny and Ryan Gilchrist on course.
Yeah, an intense battle between these 2 riders right here. Tuhoto not getting the whole shot, but able to pull ahead of Gilchrist right here. Gilchrist is starting to come back, and now Gilchrist has the advantage. Tuhoto takes it back. What's it going to be?
Wow, Tuhoto crosses the finish line first by just .13. Oh, let's get him back up there. This is going to be an insane second run.
The riders swapping the advantage 3 or 4 times down this short course. Unbelievably tight competition right here. We talked about an intense battle between these 2, but they're so friendly.
Look at that. Gilchrist with the fastest hole shot of the day there. Penny with the second fastest start. Man, this was a close one. Like you say, they swapped the lead a couple different times in the span of this short run.
Yeah, that was like restrictor plate racing right there. Unbelievably even competition. Just coming down to the finer details. Tuhoto was able to get on the pedals just a hair sooner than Gilchrist across the line.
Oh, that is a slow-mo look at what .13 of a differential looks like. Not much to play for there as we anticipate getting them back up to the top of the course. Tuhoto with the fastest time of the day now. Doing what he needs to do at exactly the right moment. All right, he says, all right, I can take that. Back up to the top. Our women in the gate. Martha Gill just under a half-second advantage over Hannah Steinthaler.
Martha Gill with perfect timing right there. A bike length lead before the first feature. But Hannah pulling alongside, maybe even a slight advantage. These courses are unbelievably even, like you were saying. The builder's doing an amazing job right here. Martha hard on the pedals across the line. She had the advantage, so she didn't need to push too hard. Doing what she needs to do, able to advance. And look, like I was saying right there, almost a full bike length before she was off the first obstacle, and then just maintained that gap from top to bottom. That's why the start is so important. Once you get that start, you sort of have the race in your hands. A lot of times the rider behind you will be pushing, and that's their opportunity to make those mistakes. You just got to keep it clean. You see those lines developing, those little marbles on the outside. It's less than a tire width line right there.
Martha, familiar territory out here. You were in the gold medal matchup just a year ago. You were victorious, grabbed the gold, and now you find yourself securing your spot in that gold medal matchup again. How about the differences between the course last year to this year? Are you liking the changes?
Yeah, the course is in a slightly different location, but it's still pretty loose, which was similar to last year, and that suits me on more of a trail bike. So yeah, excited for the next round.
Yeah, Martha, like watching you guys go through this and building and going faster and faster, how is the track developing? Is it getting faster?
I don't think so. It's just like staying the same, I'd say. They did a little bit of work just before finals, cleaned up the last 2 corners, but yeah, it's running good. I think as we go through the rounds, we just push our limits more and end up going faster.
Yeah, well, whether or not the course is getting faster, you riders are getting faster, and so we're looking forward to this final matchup. Congratulations on getting into that final gold medal round.
Thank you.
Back up to the top now. Who's going to join up with Martha in that gold medal matchup? Will it be Jordy Scott or will it be Shania Ross? And Jordy has 0.8 of an advantage. Things looking good for Jordy, but this one's far from over. We're about ready to drop the gate here.
0.8 of an advantage and the fastest time on the course today on the women's field. So let's see if she can execute right here against Shania Ross, and Jordy Scott getting the whole shot, but not by much. Shania Rawson starts to pull a little bit of a lead right here, but Jordy is so strong through those S-turns and makes a comeback about a half a bike length as we come into these critical flat turns. Shania Rawson ends up with the gap. Is it going to be enough?
No, she needed 0.89, not going to be enough. Jordy Scott and Martha Gill, they're going to be side by side in this gold medal matchup yet again. Little deja vu from last night.
Yeah, it's cool to see these head-to-head battles and these brackets coming down to our top 2 contenders yet again here in the dual slalom event.
Well, what that means, though, is if you are in that final 4 and you don't make it into the gold medal matchup, your race is not over. You still have the opportunity to duke it out for a bronze. 2 riders doing that for the women's category right now, Shania Rawson and Steinthaler. Here we go. We're getting there. The women's gold and bronze medal matchups are set. We got to do the same now for the men. Frew and Bensink in the gate. Jackson Frew, the #1 qualifier, put 7.6 on Niels Bensink in run #1. Needs a smooth run here to secure that spot in the gold medal matchup.
Something to watch on Jackson Frew, where I think he has an advantage over these other riders, is the intensity of the exit of his turns. You see how hard he's pushing and how much intensity he has out of those turns. He's actually increasing his traction while increasing his momentum. Oh, right there proves me wrong. So much momentum being increased right there. He lost traction, but able to keep that front tire ahead and get that advancing.
I mean, there's just so much power being driven to that back tire out of those corners, and you're so right. It's just an explosive burst of energy with the eyes up, focusing on the next gate.
You snapped me big time.
Yeah, we're down here towards the bottom of the course, and you just watch the intensity that he comes out of. Didn't play in his favor right here. He got just a hair outside of the line. The sweet spot in those flat turns are only about 2 tire widths wide. And going around those turns, you know, your front tire is a little bit further outside, so it's really only about a half a tire length you have to stay on point.
You think about the top 3 that we keep talking about in the King standings. You got Frew, Penny, and Gilchrist. Well, take a look at our brackets. Who do we have still in it? We got Frew, Tohoto, and Gilly. We're not sure which one's going to go up against Jackson Frew in the gold medal matchup, but we know it's either going to be Ryan Gilchrist or Tohoto with those big points on the line and only 0.13 in it right now. Tohoto has the advantage. Gilly gonna have to come from behind right now. Love to see this guy backed into a corner.
Yeah, it's a rare situation for Gilly to be backed into a corner, but he has the mental strength for these situations. He is trained to do this. This is what he wants to do. He wants to be in this situation. Tohoto with a little bit of an advantage right there out of the gate, but I saw a little bit of a flutter with his pedal. It looked like Tohoto hit a gate and it unclipped his foot, and Gilchrist is gonna definitely maximize that.
Yep, there we have it. We don't even need to look at the clock. Tohoto missing a gate in the final straightaway there. Gilchrist just dominating that run, coming from behind, not just making up that .13, but putting over a second on Tohoto as Tohoto misses the gate. Ryan Gilchrist and Jackson Frew will battle for the gold.
And we're talking about the gunslinger precision that these riders need to have in timing their pedals over those gates. Watch Tohoto's inside foot. He's a little early on the pedal and it catches his toe, and that causes his foot to unclip. We were watching that earlier with Jordy Scott, how she had that perfect timing and her foot was coming down on the top of it. Just a split second early, and having the ability to time that while you're losing traction and you're spinning, it's just unbelievable. Yeah, it looks like Tohoto missed a gate up above that even. He was just pushing as hard as he possibly could, overriding the course, and there was no coming back.
So Ryan, fastest time of the day right there. You're doing exactly what we expect you to do. Long day of competition out here. How have you been pacing yourself?
Just one race at a time. It's basically all I can do. We've got some hard heats that I've had to go through, and we always seem to match up with Tohoto at one point or another, and it's always a pleasure racing against him. But I'm stoked to be going in the final, Aussie versus Aussie.
Yeah, you're looking really good. Your race is building out there. We haven't seen you having to make up a gap right there. Mentally, how was that for you?
It was good. It's nice to know that my pace is there, and just like building off the confidence I've had at the last two races and bring it to this race is all I can really do.
I'll tell you what, it's fun to watch you top three in the King's standings really battle it out in this dual slalom. This is really, all three of you, your main event. So thanks for putting on a good show, and congratulations on making it into the gold medal matchup, man. I'm on the edge of my seat.
Thanks, Cam. Appreciate it.
This is what dual slalom racing is all about right here. You take your front runners from the beginning of the season. You see them all qualifying pretty high, with the exception of Tohoto with a really poor qualification result. And then you just see them, rise to the top as we move through our elimination rounds, all the way from 32 to 16 to 8 to 4, and now it's down to 2. The first and second qualifiers, Jackson Frew and Ryan Gilchrist, will battle for that gold. Niels Bensink and Tohoto. Tohoto sitting in that second spot in the King's standing, still an opportunity to grab those third place points. And we saw him bobble there, so he's got to bounce back and get the head in the right spot for this bronze medal matchup.
Yeah, it's so hard, that transition of, being shut down, being eliminated, and then having to regroup mentally and be like, okay, I need to do this again. I need to maximize my opportunity to get points and stay in the hunt.
Those points were earned in the first two stops. It's crazy to think we've already found ourselves here in Austria on the third stop. We kicked things off in March in Rotorua, New Zealand. We got a lot of good riding in there. I got some good memories from that one. And then just 3 weeks ago, we were over in Australia, far north Queensland, Cairns, Australia. And now for the 8th year in a row, we're in the Alps. Tough to beat the beauty of what we have here in Innsbruck, Austria. And then we will finish things off where Crankworx World Tour was born. Whistler, British Columbia, with the slopestyle in the Boneyard. We got the Garbanzo downhill. That's it's kind of just the trademark classic Crankworx events. We're looking forward to those coming up next month.
Yeah, it's awesome to have the Garbanzo back. We didn't have it in the lineup last year, so having that back will be awesome. I've even heard the whip-off is going to be in the Boneyard, in the village, in the dark at night. I don't know. I've heard rumors. I would be pumped on that.
Yeah, you've stood on the top step of the podium in the whip-off before. It'd be pretty fun to be able to just sit in the village and watch those whips going down. Well, back to racing here. We're down to the business end of this specialized dual slalom Innsbruck race. We've got bronze medal matchup loaded up in the gate here. Rawson and Steinthaler. What will the story be?
Yeah, really not any different than what we were just talking about with Tohoto and his bronze medal matchup. Shania Rawson, she needs to maximize her opportunity for points right here to keep herself in that queen category hunt.
Right, run number one here of our bronze medal matchup. Hannah Steinthaler and Shania Rawson.
Shania Rawson, really good timing out of that gate, getting the whole shot. But Hannah, not the first time she would be an upsetter tonight. Pulling right alongside, keeping Shania Rawson on her toes. Coming into these flat turns, anything can happen. It's very easy to override. It looked like Hannah absolutely roosted out of the turn, and she did it. Steinthaler able to make up that deficit that she had out of the gate. Don't ever count out the underdog.
Absolutely. I mean, Shania Rawson picked up the bronze in Australia. She's in the bronze medal matchup again, but she's going to have to earn this one.
Let's see where it was. Looks like Shania Rawson had a little bit of a lead right there, and it looked like she went a little bit hot, but the power and precision of the pedaling out of Hannah is what got her across the line first.
It's going to be a close one in run number 2 here in the bronze bracket. Only 0.08 of a second there, the differential between Hannah Steinthaler and Shania Rawson. Yep. Whoever takes that bronze will have earned it. A long day of racing coming down to this here.
I'm looking forward to this next matchup between these two. Shania Rawson, she's got that eye of the tiger right now. Maybe a little disappointed, right? I think she's going to send it on the next one.
I know for sure Tohoto is going to send it right now. Bronze bracket in the gate right now. Niels Bensink and Tohoto Ariki Penny with king points on the line here. Tohoto just focusing one race at a time, one corner at a time. Let's see if he can do it.
Yeah, Tohoto putting that mistake out of his head for sure. Executing the start to perfection, getting the whole shot. Niels trying to pull alongside, getting a little bit of a gap on those rollers, maybe known as a pump track specialist, and that's where he's gaining the advantage. But Tohoto coming in hot, can he hold on?
Oh, man.
Having to slow down too much to make that last turn. That's where that yin and yang of aggression and patience crash, smash head on into each other. Tohoto just pushing a little bit too hard as he was behind and wasn't able to make that turn in the flats.
You hear that? Bensink's saying it's so much faster right now.
I hit the drainage on that boggy section. Just a mud splash.
All right, well, at the beginning of the day, all the riders who signed up for the Specialized Dual Slalom Innsbruck had an opportunity of winning a gold medal. Now it comes down, only 2 left. Keeping the dream alive. Will it be Martha Gill or Jordy Scott? These two, no stranger to lining up in the gate alongside each other. Of course, 1 and 2 in the Queen of Crankworx standings now with only 8 points separating them. 100 points is going to go for the win, and 80 points is going to go for second. They both got their eyes set on those 100 points. Here we go.
Yeah, both yours and my pick right now going head to head. Look at Martha Gill out of that first turn, just absolutely laying it down. Jordy Scott doing what she can around the S turns, gaining some momentum back, giving a little bit of an elbow right there, running it wide, getting set up for these turns. Jordy able to absolutely, I don't know how Jordy pedaled around every one of those turns at the bottom. I've not seen that out of any of the riders until now. That was an intense race. They almost came together at one point.
And I mean, we saw them come together, actually make contact last night. The pedal of Jordy Scott went into the front spoke of Martha Gill. Take a look back, Alan, this is what you're talking about.
Yeah, Martha Gill was just a hair outside and tapped the marbles, and she was able to recover with power. You know when they say on motocross, when in doubt, throttle it out, that is exactly what Martha Gill did out of that first turn and padded her whole shot.
Yeah, way easier to throttle it out of a corner when all you got to do is twist your handlebar, but to be able to be drifting and paddling is just such a demonstration of bike skill on another level.
Yeah, and that was that moment where they came almost together. It looked like Martha ran a little wide coming out of the roller section, but was able to recover and stay focused. Look how close this is.
There you go, all the spokes in Martha's wheel tonight. I keep saying tonight. This is literally the middle of the day. Am I still jet lagged?
I don't even know what time it is, man.
I'm so into this race, I have no idea what time of day it is. So, Martha Gill with the advantage of only 7/100ths over Jordy Scott. That is going to be a good one. So, for the men's category, Ryan Gilchrist and Jackson Frew, side by side, both in the gate right now, but also sitting pretty close together in the points, 1 and 3 respectively. 100 points and 80 points on the line right now. Jackson would love to secure those 80 points, considering he's 145 points behind his opponent here in this gate, the current leader in the King standings, Ryan Gilchrist. Also on the line is a gold medal, first place prize money. It all comes down to this, run 1 of our men's gold medal matchup.
I can feel the pressure about to explode out of this gate and around these gates.
Yeah, you thought his tire pressure was high. This situation is intense. Here we go.
And Gilchrist executes that hole shot perfectly, but look at the power of Jackson Frew out of those first set of turns. Where did that come from? Look at him pedaling all the way up and over the rollers, and then here comes Gilchrist, where he's so strong with that body language in the flat turns. And Jackson Frew able to do it by .180, almost nothing in it here for Gilchrist. Man, he is focused. Look at him.
Jackson Frew there, fastest time of the day, just 1,800 separating these riders this second run.
And here, watch, let's see if we can pinpoint what Jackson does. Look at him in those ruts. You see that little bit darker spot in the turn? He's perfectly on the inside. That's where the traction is. That's where the line is. He times his feet perfectly over the gate and doesn't stop pedaling until the other side of the next roller. A little outside there, but there he is, throttling it out, keeping that traction, roosting that 35 PSI out of the turn and up and over this roller, and was able to maintain that advantage just barely.
I mean, I love watching those moments in slow motion where the tire is outside the rut, and with the wrong body position and no power to that back wheel, I mean, you're down. But
yeah.
Eyes up, full commitment here from these riders.
Yeah, we're watching some magic on the bicycle right now out of Jackson Frew and Ryan Gilchrist. The skill is flooding the zone right now. Interesting to see right there. The overall scores, Jackson in third, but also the man to beat right now here in Innsbruck.
All right, run number 2 here. Bronze medal matchup for the women. Hannah Steinthaler, Shania Rawson. We remind ourselves here of this tight matchup, just 0.08 of a second separating the two, the advantage going to Hannah.
Almost a winner-take-all situation here with how close that gap is. Shania Rawson gets enough to make up out of the start. Let's see if she can keep that gate. She's looking really good right now through the S-turns and up and over through these rollers and into the flat turns. Hannah is gaining some time on her, but a little wide right there, and Hannah has to correct.
She's gonna do it. That's 100% more than 0.08 of a second, 1.4 to be exact. Shania Rawson secures the bronze medal.
We've seen it time and time again where the rider that is behind in the race ends up missing a gate or blowing a turn. That is the thing that Ryan Gilchrist is gonna have to be really, really careful to not override this course.
Dual Slalom Innsbruck.
Well, congratulations there. Going out to Shania Rawson, grabbing that bronze medal. She did that at the last stop in Australia as well, so consistency paying off there for Shania. And now we're about ready to determine the winner of the bronze here for the men. Loaded into the gate is Niels Bensink and Tohoto Ariki Penny. Niels with the advantage of 0.68. Tohoto, once again, the same story as all day with some work to do.
Yeah, you can't count Tohoto out, that is for sure. Getting the whole shot, doing what he needs to do so far. Niels Bensink has been really strong through these rollers with his pump track skills. Tohoto on the power, absolutely floating over that roller, staying smooth, staying lines right in the ruts, and that's a pretty big gap right there.
Oh, no, he needed 0.8, he only got 0.5. Niels Bensink grabs that bronze medal. Tohoto will have to settle for 4th place points. Congratulations to Niels Bensink.
Tohoto leaving it all on the hill, that's for sure. Getting the whole shot, keeping that timing where he needed it to be. Up and over these gates, keeping his toes in the pedals. But Bensink was able to make up just enough time to be the winner here in the bronze medal matchup.
Tohoto, what a crazy day for you, man. We were surprised when we looked at the quality results, saw you in 22nd place. You never gave up all day today. How tough was it for you to find yourself making it into that bronze medal matchup?
Yeah, it was all good, big morning. I had to ride 3 different bikes, quali on a different bike, and now we had this one. It was all good. But yeah, big day. It was all good though.
Big day for sure. I mean, we were rooting for you the whole way. It's fun to root for the underdog. We don't usually think of you as the underdog with you being the reigning king of Crankworx, but it was fun to watch you never give up through this whole thing. Securing 4th place points, it's going to add to your tally. Congrats.
Thank you, brother.
What an animal out there. You know, when you see somebody with 22nd qualifying spot, you go, well, there's no way they're going to get any points out of this one. You know, 15 points maximum if they make it through to the round of 16. But 100% nose to the grindstone. Not grabbing the bronze, but 4th place points is not going to hurt his cause. So now back to the women. Shania Rawson secured that bronze medal, and now the tight matchup between Martha Gill and Jordy Scott. Deja vu from last night when we saw them battle it out for gold and silver in speed and style, but only 0.07 of a second, the advantage belonging right now to Martha Gill. We got to take a look back at run number 1 to prime ourselves here for this final matchup for the women. Martha has that 0.07 of a second advantage, and here's how she did it.
Yeah, Martha did what she needed to do up there at the top. She got the gate, and Jordy really started putting the pressure on. That drift around that first turn was so strong out of Martha, but then Jordy coming through right here and actually gains the advantage. Martha was a little bit wide out of that exit in that turn, but then she was able to nail the ruts perfectly and just get across the line ahead of Jordy Scott.
So Martha Gill looking to make it 2 wins in a row here in Innsbruck. She was the gold medalist just a year ago. Jordy Scott looking to carry the momentum of taking the win at the last stop in Cairns, Australia. All comes down to this. Only 0.07 of a second separating these riders. The advantage belonging to Martha Gill. Here we go.
0.077 gap is nothing. Every little bit of this run was going to count from the start to finish, up and over the rollers. The riders looking side by side. If anybody has an advantage, it might be Martha. Coming into these turns, this is where you got to be a little patient. Get these runs. Martha has a slight advantage over Jordy, and she does it.
Does it. Crosses the finish line first. We do not need to wait for math. Martha Gill grabs the gold medal, making it 2 years in a row here in Innsbruck.
Not only is Martha Gill going to grab the gold, but I am going to grab a beer because I do believe that was my pick.
Hey, this one's on me.
Awesome, awesome race out of Martha Gill right there. We heard her talking about Whistler and the amount of opportunities there are with the amount of runs and races she has. She's going to carry this momentum very strong into that. Just executing perfectly when she needed to. Look at that body position, weighting the outside of her bike, allowing those inside knobbies to dig in. Gets lucky right there. The timing was a little bit off.
Martha, you and Jordy just giving us a lot to hoot and holler about the past 2 days here, trading gold medals. It's you on the top step of the podium here tonight. It was you a year ago. What is it about this location here, this course, this crowd? It was a breakout win for you a year ago. How much do you love this venue?
Oh, I'm stoked on this venue. It's a shame it's the last round. I think the courses really suit me here, just how they're pretty loose. And yeah, stoked to put it together because Jordy really made me push on that last run.
You two were 100% pushing each other. We're getting our calculators out right now. This is how tight the battle is between you and Jordy. We got to consult the calculators, but we're going to add the points to your name right now. Congratulations on taking the win.
Thank you. Woo!
There we see it, Alan, right there.
There's your numbers right there. 740 to 712. So Martha Gill pulling a bit of a lead right there. Exactly what she wanted to do in today's specialized dual slalom, but it's up to the men right now.
Oh, okay.
Boy.
Okay, I'll watch this. Side by side, Ryan Gilchrist, Jackson Frew. The two fastest riders in qualifying on that collision course, bound to meet up in this gold medal matchup. But such a long road to be able to actually find yourself here. A look back at run number 1 between these two.
Yeah, the riders trading the lead 3 or 4 times on the way down. Gilchrist had the whole shot, and then you see the riders just weighing in on their strengths from top to bottom.
So Ryan Gilchrist with a bit of work to do. He needs to make up 0.18. Jackson Frew, the man with the advantage all day with that number 1 next to his name. He needs to cross the finish line first here, and if he doesn't, he needs to keep it closer than 0.18. This is gonna be good.
Everything on the line right here. Gilchrist with the whole shot, and he does it right there, nailing those first 3 turns and building a bit of a gap on Jackson Frew. Just absolutely releasing everything he has in the tank right now. Ryan Gilchrist across the line.
Does it! Ryan Gilchrist needed 0.18. He gets 0.43 and secures the gold medal. Ryan Gilchrist taking that next step to the top of the podium.
A tough pill to swallow for Jackson Frew right now, getting beat for the gold medal by the number 2 qualifier, Ryan Gilchrist. He had a disadvantage coming into this, but like he talked about, the mental momentum that these wins have been giving him, it has him rolling, and nothing is going to stop him. Not here today.
Ryan. All right, well, on the podium last night, 2nd place. I'm sure you're excited to not have to deal with tricks today. You just made it 2 wins in a row here. Of course, you picked up the win in slalom, last stop in Cairns, Australia. What was this one like, man, with all this different pressure coming from all different angles, with all the different standings and everything? You made it happen, man. What was it like?
Oh, look, it's the same old race at the end of the day. We've got some fast people that I'm up against. I say that every single time, and it's getting repetitive, but it's so true. Like, every single time I'm in the gate from the live stream until this point, it's just stress because it's so hard.
Gilly, I know that a run like that must feel amazing from top to bottom, but is there a part on the track that you could pinpoint that was that thing that you thought gave you the advantage there in that last race?
First 3 corners, I reckon. Just looked at the replay then and I got so rowdy. Like, I was fully tipped in, and my ability to gain traction was me just sprinting over to the next gate and the next gate. Keen to see the short clips on that and make a sick edit out of it.
Yeah, we've been talking about that. When in doubt, throttle it out, and you did that exactly that.
Yeah, one of my favorite quotes, Nathan Rennie says, when you're 2-wheel drifting and not touching the brakes, you're hooning.
Well, 2-wheel drifts all the way to the top step of the podium. Congratulations, Ryan Gilchrist. We're going to get our calculators out and see what that does to the King standings.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate you.
Pulling out a Nathan Rennie quote. Gotta love it, man. When it comes to flat corners, I used to love watching Nathan Rennie ride slalom. I actually saw him at the venue in Kansas. It's good to see him. It's been a long time, but definitely Ryan Gilchrist, a man who knows his history when it comes to mountain bike culture. And good to see him take that next step. He was on the 2nd step of the podium last night, speed and style. No nonsense, no tricks today. And he was the man with the plan all the way to the top step of the podium, knocking Jackson Frew down a notch from that number 1 qualification. And there's some implications there to the King standings there. Gilchrist extending his lead. His tally now all the way up to 718 points action-packed stuff coming on here in Dual Slalom. Alan, we got a big day tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm excited for the double broadcast. The morning show, we got the speed stylers. We got the men and the women out here competing, and then we're going to get into pump track. It's going to be a big day.
So for those of you who were surprised to see Specialized Dual Slalom taking place today, what we had to do is actually just flip-flop the days, trade Saturday for Sunday. So an update on what you can expect the schedule to be for tomorrow. We're going to kick things off with slopestyle. The riders prefer to ride in the morning. That's when traditionally the wind is a bit lower, of course. When you're in the mountains, anything can happen, but we're scheduled to start the broadcast at 10 a.m. local time here. So check out your world clock on your phone, figure out what time that is for you. Please join us for the broadcast here on Red Bull Bike's YouTube channel, and then stick around for the pump track. It will be the final broadcast event of our Crankworx Innsbruck 2024. That'll take place at 4 o'clock p.m. So when we're talking about slopestyle, when we're talking about downhill on the Crankworx World Tour, we have some fun activities as well. The race companion, they got to get involved.
Yeah, the thing that's so cool about the race companion is not just fantasy, it's like a community. You can get in there, you can talk trash with your people, create leagues. They even have games, Crankworx downhill and slopestyle games that you can play. It's really a cool spot to hang out and just ingrain yourself in mountain biking.
So prizes to be earned there in the fantasy league thanks to the race companion, but some prizes to be earned for you as well. There's only a couple ways to get the exclusive Crankworx Innsbruck 2024 merchandise. You either got to be here or you got to be here, which is the chat on Red Bull Bike's YouTube channel. We have this shirt we're going to give away. We got a whole lot of what just happened.
Brought down the house.
We're going to give away the whole house. We're going to sign this thing. Just kidding. We're going to give away this t-shirt. We've got some of the best riders in the world who signed it. Jackson Frew, Tohoto, Ariki Penny, Thomas Slavic, and then Martha Gill and Jordy Scott also signed this thing. We've got the winner. It is Mike Rides MTB02. Congratulations, man. We got an envelope over there off camera. We're going to land this t-shirt in there. We're going to get that mailed to you. Hey, guess what? Plenty to come tomorrow. We got slopestyle and pump track coming up. Thank you for joining us here in the Specialized Dual Slalom Innsbruck. I've been Cam McCall alongside Alan Cook. We will see you tomorrow morning for slopestyle.